Welcome to another exclusive session in the CH Tribe's Career Accelerator Sunday series. I'm Roisin from Clever Harvey. I'll be hosting today's session on clarity of thought with our special guest speaker, Anuri Mehta. Clarity is something which underlines everything that we do. It's the starting point of taking a plunge, whether it's a life changing decision or if it's a simple day to day task. And deep clarity comes in when you give your thoughts some structure. Anuri is a seasoned marketer having 16 years of work experience across noted companies such as Bisleri, Hindustan Unilever, Sony Pictures Network, and she now follows her passion of teaching and is a professor at Russell Square International College in Mumbai. She teaches BBA students the subjects of marketing, advertising, and brands. Welcome, Anuri. We're very delighted to have you here. Now, without further ado, let's kickstart today's session. Anuri, over to you.
Thank you so much, Roisin. Good morning to everyone here. Thanks for giving us your time for today. I hope that I'm going to be making this session worth your while. So, guys, clarity of thought. Pretty much a term which has been utilized everywhere, literally. You hear your parents talking about it. You've heard people in college talk about it, in school talk about it. When you go into work, people talk about it. And then, of course, you have these motivational speakers who talk about it, right? And why is clarity of thought so important? And really, is it a skill that we don't have inborn? Tell me, what do you think, guys, is clarity of thought?
I think it's like kind of a vision for the future, I guess.
Vision for the future. Okay. What else?
Clearance of mind.
Clearance of the mind. Yes. Okay.
What you know about the next steps.
You know about the next steps. Okay. Interesting. All right. And guys, don't you think it's inborn within us?
It is inborn, but then what I think is there are external factors because of which you may not be able to decide or whatever, right? So it's like saying that you need to educate your mind and then make a decision. And that is what it relates to clarity of thought as for me.
That's absolutely correct, because it is inborn. We're all born with it. It's really about just digging a little deeper and bringing it to the fore and giving it a little more thought, giving it a little more priority, right? And the minute you have clarity of thought, suddenly, things are so much more simple, isn't it? I'm sure you guys have seen a picture like this before. What are the couple of things that do come to your mind when you see this picture?
Mind needs regular cleaning.
Okay. Yes. So what is the picture actually showing us, guys?
So to my mind, when I look at this picture, it tells me that, like I said earlier as well, your mind needs regular cleaning, which means you need to, and I also see maybe a vacuum cleaner or whatever that she's trying to use, which means you need to have that knowledge or you need to have that additional aid to help your mind to clean the cobwebs that surround you. Why? One of the major reasons that you can't really think clearly is maybe because, you're surrounded by so many presumptions and assumptions that just kind of, fog your mind. So if you have the right attitude, knowledge, guidance, support, you can actually have a clarity towards it. So it's more showing that, with right aid, it is not difficult to clean the cobwebs of your mind.
Right. Thank you so much, Chaitanya. So a couple of words that do come to your mind when you look at this picture is really about declutter. Yeah, you want to declutter your mind of all the rubbish that you're thinking about. Your mind, your brain has the capacity to, hold a lot of thoughts, think of a lot of things. It has like a million compartments, right? But it's time to declutter. Once in a while, I wouldn't say very regularly, but once in a while, we also declutter our wardrobes. We also declutter our house. We get rid of things which are unwanted. Just very strangely, our brain tells us to do all that. But strangely, we don't do that with our own brain. Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever thought, like, say for today is a Sunday, I don't have school, I don't have college, I don't have work. Let me sit down and declutter my brain. Has anybody thought of that?
Yeah, I personally have.
You have? Oh, excellent. That's great. Okay. So, and Pranav, how do you go about doing that?
I just listen to some music and do something which I like.
Okay. All right. That's a great way of doing it. And of course, different people would have different ways of, decluttering. Okay. But sometimes decluttering could also, and especially, when you're talking about listening to music, etc., that really wouldn't be decluttering your mind. That's more like putting your mind at ease, from the other thoughts that it was racing towards. Yeah. It's almost like giving yourself a break.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, but decluttering, guys, is actually talking about filtering out from all the noise there is. So, when you see this particular woman inside your brain, vacuum cleaning all the cobwebs, it's really about, getting rid of all that unwanted kachra, unwanted noise, so that we can start focusing on what we were really thinking about or what our objective is. Of course, is cleaning up. She's vacuuming all the unwanted stuff, unwanted noise, unwanted cobwebs. And why is she doing that? Because we are trying to make space for important things. Our brain holds a lot of unimportant things also. I think because of our exposure to digital and so many mediums, which are really fighting for our mind space, there is just so much clutter in our mind, right? Our mind is fragmented towards so many things. It is important to once in a while sit and declutter and make space for important things. Sometimes what happens is important things get relegated, to the end of our priority list. Does anybody feel like that? Does anybody feel that sometimes, like the most important thing, which really should be on top of mind, sometimes because of so much external influence, so much noise from outside, actually gets relegated to the back?
Yeah, so basically, during exams or competitions, I mean, the whole fear of winning a competition oversees what we're going to learn. So, like, the expectation overrides the actual goal that we're looking towards, and that starts cluttering up your mind. And you're like, I mean, you want to win just for the sake of it and not for like learning.
So, yeah, you're absolutely right. So, somewhere the learning part of it actually gets relegated, to literally the bottom of your list, when actually that should have been on the top of the list. And I'm sure everybody's gone through this. Sometimes you jump into something like, for example, as Vinamra mentioned, like getting into a competition. You jump into the competition for the sheer thrill of the competition, somewhere you are particularly good at that particular skill, right? And you jump into that competition, and somewhere down the line, when the date of the competition is nearing, you sit back sometimes and ask yourself that, why exactly did I enter this competition? I'm not too sure. Has a thought like that ever crossed your mind?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, right? And that's when you needed that clarity of thought, because in the beginning, if you had that clarity of thought, you would exactly know why you were doing something, right? And unfortunately, while we very mechanically do things in our day-to-day lives, we don't sit back and, talk to ourselves or talk to our mind or declutter our mind to see what are the most important things in our lives. We need to make space for the most important things in our life, right? And when you make this space, there is this realization, right? But realization is more of, that aha moment when you realize that, yes, this is what I got into the competition for. I wanted to learn from the competition, or I wanted to see where I stand, as compared to others in this competition. It may not be actually to win the competition, but when you think of the word competition, the first few things that you associate competition with is to win, right? And when you think of it, please understand there are a million other people who are part of that competition who think the same, right? But if you had a certain clarity as to why you would want to enter the competition, right, that's going to really set you apart, from the herd. Our thought process, obviously we cannot see our thoughts, okay? It's just in our head, all right? And obviously there are always two kinds of thoughts, that come to us, literally at every second or every minute. On the left hand side is basically, you see like all kind of tangled bands, okay, which is basically lots of thoughts, random thoughts, unconnected thoughts literally moving haphazardly in every direction, which are absolutely non-conclusive. How many of you guys are guilty of these kind of thoughts? I am, for sure. Guys, admitting it in itself is a big clarity. So guys, why do you think that, our thoughts are all tangled all over the place? It's such a khichdi, such a mess. Why do you think so? Why are our thoughts so tangled, so like into each other? They're full of knots. It's like a maze in there. Why do you think so? Anybody?
Lack of clarity.
Yes,
But
Navya?
just not clear about it, so everything's just mixed up. The more clear you are, they're probably more sought after in your head.
Right. Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you, Namya. So, guys, in today's day and age, again, we are processing information by the millisecond. The digital screens that we are all in front of, even currently, are the ones to be blamed, right? That little device that we have in our hands at all times, which we call the mobile phone, is to be blamed. I'm sure you would have heard, when you sit with your elders, etc., when they said that, our times or earlier times were simple times. Yes, has anybody heard that from, parents or grandparents or anything like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, yes, because they were simpler times. It is true. There was not too much information, okay, and things were simple, right? Today, how much information are we bombarded with? Suddenly, sitting in India, we're also worried because the Queen has died. Suddenly, in India, we're sitting and worrying that the stock market crashed in the US. It is affecting us, but is it going to affect us that much that we need to give it all our mind space? Is it
No, ma'am.
is it finally affecting the decisions that we are going to take in our life? Not so much, right? But unfortunately, that information is stuck in our brain, right? And that's what's leading to a lot of entangled thoughts and really making it difficult for us to concentrate on our end goal or our objective, right? Which is why vacuum cleaning of our brain from time to time is extremely, extremely important. What we really need to move to is to the picture on the right. We need to move towards a single thought, connected thoughts, which finally lead to our goal. And at every step of those thoughts, they need to be crystal clear. You need to keep asking yourself, do I know why I am doing something? Is it connecting to the next step that I'm getting to? And when I am thinking of these particular thoughts, is it finally taking me to my end goal? Guys, how many of you guys have levitated to this little bubble? How many of you guys are in this particular stage? So, guys, it's very difficult, to absolutely be in this stage. Unfortunately, we will keep oscillating between both these stages, right? Because while we try to condition our mind, while we try to condition our thoughts, there is always, as I said, external noise, right? And that noise is always going to distract you, right? And hence the mind will keep oscillating between these two kind of thoughts. What do you think is this image on the left trying to tell us? Anybody want to try and interpret this?
It's like the steps for building a table.
Yes. Okay. And why is this important in our today's topic?
So it basically explains how you should do something step by step in order to achieve the desired result in a proper way without messing anything up.
Okay. All right. Absolutely.
Picture on the
Yeah.
left, it's step by step, and it shows you that with that much clarity of how the person is going to go ahead with it. The picture on the right suggests that he's in like a certain kind of a flow. He doesn't seem confused about what he's doing.
Yes. So guys, yes, thank you so much. The picture on the left is clearly how we want to start conditioning our mind, how we want our thoughts to flow. Yes. It is like when you see a manual, okay, and a manual gives you a step-by-step procedure to build a table. Please think about it. If you had missed a couple of steps in between, do you think that, you would get a table which you can see in step 6? It's impossible, right? Or even if you did get a table which stands maybe on all its 4 feet, eventually, over time, something's going to go wrong and that table's going to break. Why? Because it did not have a strong foundation to start with. You skipped a couple of steps in between while building that table. Now, why did you skip a couple of steps? You could have skipped a couple of steps because you didn't have time, because you wanted to get on with it. You wanted to quickly have a table, because you wanted to use it so quickly. But please understand, later on, that table just collapsed. And you sat back and thought that why did it all happen? It happened because you did not follow instructions. You did not go step by step. You took the liberty of skipping a couple of steps. And guys, that's what happens even when you're thinking towards, achieving something, right? Achieving your goal or achieving the objective that you had set out for yourself. Sometimes we're in such a hurry that we not just need to get something done, and we'll just do it in a hurry. We'll skip a couple of steps, and then what will the end result be? You guys have heard of this term, garbage in, garbage out,
Yes, ma'am.
right? And that's what's going to be your result, right? It's important, guys, that we start conditioning our mind where we think step by step, just like an instruction manual, not skipping any steps in between. Yes, the picture on the right is very clearly mentioning that it is human to have, interconnected, haphazard thoughts, at different points in time, right? We are no saints. Okay, we are not going to completely close ourselves to the outside world. Okay, we are not completely closing ourselves to news from outside. So yes, there are going to be thoughts which are jumbled, haphazard, not connected, right? But it is up to us, okay, to filter out things that we do not want, okay, and then concentrate on our goals and have a singular minded thinking, okay, such that it helps push us towards that goal. So guys, just a small little quote is, in a world deluged by irrelevant information, clarity is power. Yes, it is absolutely powerful. This is what is going to set you apart from other people, in your pool, your peers. Suddenly, out of, say, 50 people, it just could be that 49 people agree on one thing, but you may completely think of something else. It just could be because you have thought through it. You've made an informed decision, right? You've got proper information which has helped you think it through, and hence you've made that decision, and you may just stand out. It may seem like, you are very different from what the rest of the people think, but that is fine because you have the power and you know that you're on the right path because you've thought it through. Guys, I have a very simple image to kind of, just illustrate this, right? So what is the task at hand? Okay, so you're seeing basically this man, okay, who's standing on one cliff, okay, and he wants to get to the other cliff. And as you can see, it is separated by a body of water. The task at hand is, what do I want to do? The objective is I want to get to the other side of the river, right? Now, guys, let's assume that you are in this situation. What are the questions that you would ask yourself? How would your thought process follow, basis a manual? What would your step 1 be? What would your step 2 be?
So maybe first I'd like find out a way to get myself across the river. So like I think I'll go and try to find a boat or something, or
Okay.
make one maybe.
Okay. So what was your first step? You said, I want to get to the other side of the river. That's what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Yes.
My first step would be to search for a few resources close by, and then after that you kind of make a sort of pathway or so, like a path where you can just walk and go.
Okay.
So these are the 2 steps I would follow.
All right. Okay.
Ma'am, if I don't have anything I'm carrying, then I can probably first I'll try to find out how deep the water is, and if I can swim, then it's well and good. I can just swim and pass. I mean, if I don't have anything, that if I have anything like a bag of clothes, then I don't want it to get wet. Then I have to find a resource to cross. But if I don't have anything, then I can just swim and go.
Okay. Guys, the first question you need to assimilate in your mind or ask your mind or talk to your mind is, where am I currently at? Assess the situation where you are at. So I am on top of a hill or cliff. It's very steep. I have, an obstacle in front of me, which is a river. Then the next one is, where do I want to go? So what is my objective? Yeah, what's my end goal? So what is my goal here? That I want to go to the other side of the cliff. And my next question is, how do I get there? When you take down notes, for example, in school, in college, whatever, right? You have these, you have a topic and then you have subtopics, right? And then you'll write your title and then you'll write your points. So you'll write A and then you'll highlight A and then you'll write sub points below it, right? This is exactly like that, except we're not writing it. We're just assimilating it in our mind. Why are we doing this? Is because we want to get more and more clarity. And we're doing this so that we don't miss out any points, right? Okay, that we are thinking well about the situation. Okay, so that we don't miss out any points in the situation that we are at. So for example, when you ask yourself, where am I currently? Okay, you will start putting down sub points saying, I am on top of a cliff. The cliff is very steep. I have to be careful. Okay, can I build a boat? Okay, but how will I hurl the boat down? So maybe should I start building a pathway? Okay, do you think I should instead build a bridge? Is there an alternative way around it? Just, to check where I am currently and how I'm kind of going to get to where I want to go. I've built 7 points in between. Yes. Now, is it that we don't think about these things? Of course, we think about these things. It is our brain which is prompting us to think about these things, right? And the minute you're thinking about these things, you're analyzing, right? We hear these big words of analysis, right? And then we get intimidated. No, but we're also analyzing constantly in our head. The analysis that you guys would have done this morning is, it's a Sunday, should I wake up early? Should I really, get in front of my screen to listen to this particular talk? You analyzed it in your head, right? And unknowingly, subconsciously, you've already asked yourself a couple of questions. The more questions that you ask, guys, the more clear it gets, right? And sometimes, you would have heard people saying, dig deep inside, you will get the answers. Of course, that guys is more on a philosophical level, but what is digging deep inside? It's really about talking to yourself, about, asking more questions, getting enough information so you can make that informed decision. How many of y'all do this? How many of y'all actually sit down and think of a situation? People may go for a walk, they may listen to music, anything that relaxes them, right? But they may start thinking about the situation. How many of y'all do this?
I do.
And what exactly, it'll be great if you can share with us how exactly you do it.
It just comes in my mind, really. I just go about my day and then start thinking of situations in my free time, like what would happen if I do this at this point.
Okay, that's great. And Tarunri, how does that make you feel when you're actually faced with that situation? How does it make you feel?
It makes me think with the complex mind, like how I would go about this, because a part of me is like, yes, this situation will come in life someday. So I really should find a way to counter this before it actually comes here. So I start thinking about it all the time until I get a solution for it.
Sure. Okay, so that's great. But which means that when you are faced with that solution, maybe it's easier to tackle that solution because you've already thought about it in the past. And you already kind of know what you're going to do, right?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So guys, it's important that, you ask yourself questions, right? And assess it on your own. Okay. Put down all kinds of situations, okay, which you think that you may encounter, right? You've left no room for ambiguity, right? That 1% chance will always be there that, there'll be something which will be completely out of the blue that may come your way. But if you have clarity of thought, trust me, you can overcome that hurdle too. When we talk about how do I get there, right? So when I think of what I want to do and where I really want to be at, there's a big bridge, as you see here. And that bridge is how do I get there, right? And what do we need to kind of get there? So the first one, guys, is burning passion. Okay, if you are passionate about something, if you're passionate about, that end goal or that end objective, you will always have in your mind that need to achieve. Okay, there is some kind of focus that comes into your head. And at every time, when your mind is cluttered with noise, cluttered with outside influences, people talking, etc., your mind will switch to saying that this is my passion, this is my goal, and I need to achieve it. So you need to ensure that the objective or the goal that you have is something that you're absolutely passionate about. Second one is linear thinking. As I said, think of it as a step-by-step manual, which basically gives you step 1 to step 10. Okay. And at the end of step 10, you will have a finished product. You need to think of approaching how you want to get to your objective in a very linear way. It has to be sequential. You cannot be skipping any steps. From time to time, declutter your mind. Your mind is like a monkey. okay, it's going to get distracted by anything and everything that it encounters, anything and everything that it sees, anything and everything that it hears. Clear up those cobwebs to ensure that, you stay on the path to your objective, you stay focused, okay? And then finally, please ensure that, you keep that end goal in sight at all times, okay? Sometimes what happens is as you grow up, as you go along the way, you may just think that, what you wanted, say, 2 or 3 years back is very different from what you want today. Keep iterating, keep refreshing your end goal, right? And keep working towards that end goal. And ensure that that objective that you want to achieve or the end goal that you want to achieve is something that you're very, very passionate about. And I'm sure a lot of y'all would have heard this, that if you're not passionate about something, it'll always be a drudgery for you. It'll always be a drag for you, right? Somebody will have to push you to do it, right? But passionate about is like that burning desire to achieve something, okay? It will spark or ignite something in you, you'll always be up for the challenge, right? If you're passionate about something. How can we achieve it? Let me share with you a couple of things that I do, in order to achieve this clarity of thought. By no way, have I mastered it as yet. I mean, I'm sitting here and talking to you all about it, but I'm also in the process of achieving it. I mean, as we say that, in life, learning needs to be constant, okay? And every day we're learning something at whatever age you are at. So the first one, guys, is making a list of pros and cons, okay? And I'm sure some of you all may already be practicing this, right? But for me personally, I think this is a great way to figure out, sometimes when there is confusion in your mind, in order to weed out those unwanted thoughts, etc., what you do is you start with writing. So writing is a great starting point, okay? You write out your situation at the top of the page, and then you make 2 columns. One, the pros of that situation, and second, the cons of that situation. You try and weigh out, which one works in what favor, okay? It will definitely help you move towards the next step. Anybody here who does this? When you're confused, you want to write it down. Anybody who maintains, like, for example, a diary?
Yeah, I do write a diary sometimes, and I do make pros and cons list for a lot of things.
So Satvik, does it help you?
Yeah, sometimes it helps me compare and contrast different topics and figure out which one is better for me.
Perfect. Okay. All right.
So I also sometimes write. I'm not at all like regular about it, but I sometimes write. It doesn't give me that much of clarity of thought, but it gives me a coping mechanism.
Yes. At least it gives you a starting point. Yes, Anya, can we say that? It gives you a starting point?
Yes.
From being 100% confused, maybe that brings it down to, say, 30%?
50, let's say.
50%. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it doesn't end there. Okay. Because from there, you need to keep in mind that now that, let's assume you've written the situation, think that that's the situation that you must go ahead with, right? So yes, I want to, for example, enter this particular competition. Okay, the pros and cons list has helped you to move to step 2 at least, right? Now from step 2, it's really about, again, making a list in terms of your thoughts as to how you're going to be approaching your end goal, which is really about entering into the competition or facing the competition on the last day. Okay, it's absolutely important. So when you start writing or you make a list of pros and cons, it gives you like a good starting point. All right. The next one is, it needs to be single-minded. Okay, once you have decided that this is what I want to do, there's no wavering there, right? You need to keep a single-minded focus on what you are about to achieve. Okay, and at that point in time, you are going to be inundated with a lot of external noise, a lot of people telling you what you should do, a lot of unwanted opinions. You, in your head, need to condition your mind to filter out that unwanted noise and keep your eyes set on the ultimate goal that you want to achieve. I'm sure, guys, that we've all gone through this. I mean, don't you get unwanted advice from people all the time? Isn't it? Yes, some people could actually be telling you, something which is, favorable for you, right? But it's a mix. It's like all those haphazard thoughts, coming and clouding your mind. It clouds your ability to take a decision. How many of y'all are guilty of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
I
coming.
get this kind of advice every day from my parents.
Exactly. Yeah. No, so please, I mean, in no way am I saying that, your parents are misguiding you or they're just giving you advice like that. It is the job of a parent to keep talking to their children and giving them advice, right? But it is you who has to finally do it. It is your mind. So if you think that, the noise that's coming your way, if there is something interesting in it, your mind will pick it up. Okay. And your mind will pick it up in such a way that it will help move you to the next step. Right? But sometimes if your mind is not conditioned, it will also pick up all the rubbish and the garbage, right? Leading to all the cobwebs that we saw. So for us to achieve that clarity of thought, we need to ensure that we weed out, we keep vacuuming those cobwebs, we filter out through those cobwebs, and we just take in what is important, for our end goal. The next one, it's not about focus, it's about ultra focus. Okay. As I said, we get distracted all the time. Okay. How many of y'all are guilty that, you've sat down to study and within 10 or 15 minutes, there is some kind of distraction around you. And while you think that you are in full concentration mode, surely something has come and disturbed you.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. It could be your mobile phone, which is the biggest distractor. It could be TV. It could be a match that's going on. It could be somebody talking in your house. It could be music. It could be anything, right? It needs to be weeded out. It needs to be kept on the side. You need to condition your mind to say that it's there. I can hear it, but it's not going to disturb me while I am thinking about something. And only when you have ultra focus, okay, only when you really want, you have that desire to achieve that end goal, is your mind going to say, yes, I'm going to filter out all that additional noise, all that additional distraction. Linear thinking, important. Identify your starting point and then follow it through step by step. No skipping steps in between. Sequential. If not sequential, then you're not going to have the right end result, like the manual that we saw, right? And guys, most important, this could be debatable actually. Please don't have a plan B in place. I am sure you guys have read, and I'm sure you've heard also, that people say that, in life, you need to have a plan A. And if plan A doesn't work, make sure that you have a makeshift plan B. How many of y'all have heard of this?
Me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, I have heard
Yes.
about.
Yes. So guys, please understand the context of that is different. That is about really saying that, if you do not succeed in life or in anything that you're doing with plan A, then you have a backup ready, right? But guys, please take a step back and look at it from this point of view. If in your mind, you already say that, I have a plan B ready, that means you have already set up your mind to accept that plan A is not going to work. Plan B has become like your crutch. You in your mind have said to yourself, okay, that it's okay if plan A doesn't happen. There's always plan B, which means your mind has already moved away from achieving plan A to now, conspiring to get plan B into place. Why? This should just not happen, because plan B is like your crutch. You don't want to be handicapped with a plan B, right? And the minute you have plan B into place, which is obviously going to be different from plan A, there are going to be conflicting ideas. There's going to be those haphazard ideas going everywhere. That's going to distract you from your end goal. So no plan B when you're thinking about situations.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Right. And finally, guys, I mean, the crux of, why we're having this particular session, why do we need to have clarity of thought? Well, it helps to showcase that you have a clear understanding of what you want to do. We do not have to showcase to the world. Okay. We all know that, we are strong, clever, positive individuals. Okay. But we ourselves will only showcase that when we are clear within ourselves, in our heads. So you need to have a clear understanding of anything. It could be the smallest of things, or it could be life-changing decisions. But if you have clarity, you have proper information in order to get that clarity, then you know you're on the path of success. You need to make sure that your mind is crystal clear of what it wants to achieve. There's no wavering there. There's no compromise there. It definitely helps, whether any kind of decisions, big or small. It will help you take the right decision. It will help you prioritize. Today, guys, I'm sure, a lot of y'all feel or have heard from, friends, family, etc., saying that 24 hours is less for me. No, it is about prioritizing. It is about having clarity on what needs to be done first, what is more important. So it's going to help you. It's going to make you a better human being, right? And finally, if you have clarity of thought, it will help you in getting the work done easily. So a lot of these points, etc., that we put down, which is basically making a list, writing your pros and cons, approaching things in a more sequential manner, not skipping steps, etc. Yes, it may take a little longer to achieve your objective, but at least you know that you have stayed the course, that you've not skipped any steps in between. Okay, you've been true to yourself, and then you'll finally see the end result, which will be really sweet. So it will help you get the work done easily. That's it from me, guys. Thank you so much. I hope that you guys have been able to, take out something interesting, from this session, right? I mean, I had a lot of fun putting it together, okay? Because honestly, in the process, I think I also learned a lot of things, right? So thank you so much, guys. And I'm happy to take any questions if there are.
How do you handle making a decision when you don't have all of the information?
I think that is generally a way of life. Okay. There are very many times that we don't get answers to everything that we're looking for, right? So at that point in time, we need to dig a little deeper. We need to get our information. Okay. And without that information, it will not be possible for us to move forward, right? So there could be a lot of things that you could draw from also. So for example, if it's a situation like, let's say the same situation that we were talking about earlier, which is about entering into a competition. So should I enter into a particular competition, right? And if you do not have enough information about what the competition is about, etc., right? And that assuming the date is nearing by, and you really, really would like to be part of that competition, then maybe you could look at similar situations, that have happened in the past. So you learn out of situations, you learn out of experiences. Let me give you, an example to that. Like there's a reason that we read a lot of books, right? Okay, we read books of influential people, famous people, etc., because we want to try and learn from their successes, from what they do correctly, etc., and then try and incorporate that, in our day-to-day lives. So I think, in some way or the other, we must try and get our source of information in place, because if we don't have the right information, we will not be able to start taking a decision, and we will not be able to, get into this whole step-by-step thinking.
How do you take a decision quickly and efficiently?
I think the minute you talk about being quick, I think that defeats a lot of things, right? Because I think what happens is quick trumps efficiency, the old adage, which goes haste makes waste, right? There's nothing like a quick decision. That final decision is always going to be yours, and you can't have anybody push you to take a decision, right? It is your prerogative. It is your right to ask for information, to ask for time. And when you are completely clear, of the information that you have received, is when you can make that decision. So there is nothing like making a quick decision, in my books at least, right? Efficient decision, yes. But for efficiency, you need information. You need time. You need time to process it. You need time to think through it sequentially. Right. So because it's, honestly part of our lingo, saying, let's make a quick and efficient decision, but there's nothing called quick, right? Efficiency is what it is, right? So let quick not come in the way of efficiency is all I can say.
And speaking of efficiency, someone has asked, what's an efficient way to overcome procrastination?
I think what happens is, and it's something that I did mention, in my presentation also, was to say you kind of relegate a lot of important things to the end of your list. There could only be two reasons for that. One really being that it's too big a task, it's too intimidating, I don't know how to approach it. But then that's when you need to question yourself that why are you procrastinating? You could be procrastinating for a lot of reasons. A is because you don't think that it is important. You may not be so passionate about it. Okay. So for a lot of us here, and I'm saying I was guilty about it when I was growing up too, right? Our parents tell us, sit and study. No, it's relegated to the end of our list. Is it important? Of course, it's important. But what is also more important is to go play football, to play PS4, to do other things, to go shopping, of course, right? So the thing is that we need to be passionate about it. As an individual, you need to be passionate about it, because if you're going to be passionate about it, it's going to be the number one on our priority list, and you will never procrastinate from it. As they say, if you're passionate about something, it'll never seem a drudgery for you. It'll never seem like a job for you. You want to wake up every morning energized, all set to seize the day, because you're passionate about moving towards that direction and achieving your goal, right? So I think procrastination is just, you need to kind of break it down in your head. So kind of, again, vacuum clean those cobwebs, right? And then try and understand, dig deeper and see that what is the reason for your procrastination, right? And according to me, it has to be some of these reasons, right? The other ways could really be to write down, what you really feel about the task at hand. And you will realize that maybe you're just not enjoying it. And that's why, you're procrastinating from it. But unfortunately in life, there are certain things that we do procrastinate from, but we don't have a choice. We have to do it.
What is the best way to self-assess yourself to gain a clear vision in terms of clarity of thought?
I honestly love, the choice of words that, the English language has thrown up, It's just open a vocabulary, and we talk about self-assessment, vision, goal, etc., clarity of thought. But guys, it's really about keeping it simple. Let's not get caught up in words. Let's not get caught up in, big things like vision, etc. It's really about taking every moment as it comes, really, and really seeing what is it that you want to do. And I think if you are clear about putting that down, trust me, it's like, all those puzzle pieces will fall into place, because the minute you know what you want to do, that's when, your body actually gets into motion, your mind gets into motion, and that's when you start seeking more information. And the more information you seek, you will realize that, that is something that interests you, and you'll start moving in that direction. Right? Again, in order to figure out what exactly you want to do, well, honestly, I think, that in itself would be a completely different session, right? But I think, writing down, for example, a lot of people have a little diary, and I think I asked around, even during my presentation, write down your thoughts. Sometimes writing down your thoughts really helps you declutter your mind, right? And when you kind of revisit that diary, maybe every time you want to read it again, I think you'll be able to find some clarity. Things will just get more simplified.
Thank you so much, Anuri, for answering all of these questions, for taking the time out of your schedule to help out the students and the parents in the CH Tribe community. We're so honored to have you as a speaker today. So let's end the session. I hope it was helpful for everyone.
Thank you so much, guys. I just had a fabulous time talking to each one of you all, and thank you for that participation, because I really think that, any conversation needs to be two-sided. And I just hope that the tips and the pointers that I've given you, are going to be helpful. And then I just hope that some of you all really, utilize that in your day-to-day life. That's it. Thank you so much.
Stay tuned for more amazing sessions just like this one. Wish you all a happy Sunday, everyone. Thank you.